Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you how I made this chainmail armor sort of sweater hoodie set. And we're going to be going over how to make the hood and sweater separately so you can wear them both together or apart if you like. If you want to look for more of these written patterns and things like I've done, check out the rest of my channel as well as my Instagram. Let's get right on into the video. For your materials today, you'll need about 250 yards of a weight through yarn, or a little bit more or less depending on your size. You'll need a hook that is in between 10 or 12 millimeters. I'm using an 11.5 specifically, but you can use whatever you're most comfortable with. I also used a tape measure, a pair of scissors, as well as a few stitch markers. We'll be starting with the hood here, and you're going to need to do step 1, which is making a basic slip knot. Here I'm going over very slowly how to do so. First holding it with your left hand, so long as you're right-handed, and then you're going to twist around your other fingers. So you're going to create this figure 8 sort of shape. Pulling the bottom yarn now through the loop, you've easily created your first slip knot. Into that little hole, you're going to insert your hook, and you're going to very lightly tighten it so that we can still move it up and down. From there, you want to hold your yarn however is most comfortable. I hold it like this above my index finger, and then hold the little spare tail with my middle finger and my thumb. We're then going to move on to making chains, which we're going to do 4 of. And to make a chain, you simply wrap your yarn around your hook like so, twist it, and pull it through the loop already on your hook. When you come back out, you'll twist it again, and you'll repeat those steps until you have as many chains as you like. Be sure to not pull too tight on your yarn as you're doing this. You want it to be very loose so that way we can have a nice flowing piece. You're then going to want to slip stitch into the first chain that you made by inserting your hook through like so, and then making what's essentially another chain. So when you have these 2 loops sitting on your hook, you'll yarn over again and pull through, just like you were doing to make your chains before, and that will close the ring that we have. To finish off this step, you're just going to chain 2 more times, which is what we'll be doing in between every single row. We're then going to be moving on to the actual rows, and we're going to start by making double crochets. So into that hole that made the ring before, you're going to yarn over first like I showed you, and then insert your hook into the hole. Yarn over again and pull it out of the hole, and then you'll have 3 loops remaining on your hook. You're going to continue to yarn over and pull through 2 of those loops. Then you're going to do the same thing, yarning over once more and pulling through 2. And we're going to go through that again because I know that's a lot for one stitch, but this is the basic stitch for the piece. So you'll yarn over, and this is what it looks like doing it quickly. And I'm going to show you slowly again, don't worry. And you're going to continue to pull through all these pieces. So doing it slowly again to give you another look, yarn over, insert through the hole, yarn over again and pull it back out. And then with 3 loops on your hook, you'll yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2 more. If you're looking for a really slow tutorial on how to do this part by itself, please let me know and I'll send you a link to one of my really slow videos so that way you can learn how to do this whole little part here without having to rewind and pause it a million times. And also, I'm always free if you need help. Send me a comment on here or a DM on Instagram. After you've made 8 double crochets into that ring, you're going to want to find the first double crochet that you made, which you'll notice has these 2 little pieces on top like this, above where you did your last chain 2. Insert your hook and make a slip stitch here, and then once you've gone through both sides to connect the circle, you're just going to want to chain 2 more times so you can begin the next row. For row 2, you are now going to be putting 2 double crochets into each of those stitches. So basically what we're doing is the same as the previous row, and I'm going to go through the double crochet a little slower here, but now look at the stitch here. You see we have the 1 double crochet. You're going to add a second one directly into that same piece, and it will look like this when you're done. You're then going to move on to your next stitch, and in there once again you're going to be placing 2 more double crochets. And you're going to be doing this all the way around your piece until you have 16 total. From here, if you want to count the tops of your stitches to make sure you have 16, I recommend doing so to make sure you didn't skip any. Then you're going to do the same as we've been doing with a slip stitch and a chain 2 afterwards so that way we can finish the row. So find that first double crochet that you made, insert your hook, and then make your slip stitch, pulling through all of these at once. And then when you're done, you're just going to chain 2 more times to end row 2. Row 3 is where the pattern gets interesting, where you're going to be doing 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch you'll be doing 2. So your first stitch will look like this, and then when you go into the next one, we'll be doing 2 of them. And what this is going to do is it's going to very slowly increase the size of your circle without it being super ruffly. So you want to make sure you're not skipping any and that you are alternating in between. So showing you guys one more time, also there's Oliver. We are going to be doing 1 double crochet into this first stitch here. And then when you're done, 2 double crochets into the second. And like I said, you're just going to keep repeating that all the way around, and you will have a total of 24 stitches afterwards. So basically it's like you're adding 8 more to it. You are going to do your slip stitch and your chain 2 to finish this part off as well. Like I said, you'll be doing it in between every single row. Now for row 4 and the rows beyond, you're going to be continuing that same pattern we did in row 3. So for row 4, you would be doing 1 double crochet, then in the next stitch doing 1 more double crochet, and then in the stitch following doing 2 double crochet. And you're going to go so on and so forth until you have a piece that fits your head. I stopped at row 3 because that's about child size. Row 4 through 6 will fit your head depending on how much hair you have and how big your head is. Basically, the rule of thumb is you want to stop when it is directly above your eyebrows. Once you have your piece here, and this is the length that I'll be stopping at, which was 4 rows, I'm going to add a stitch marker so that way I know where I want the face framing to be. It's going to start there at the start of the next row, and it's going to go all the way around the back of my head up to where the stitch marker lands. So you can place it wherever you feel the most comfortable. Mine's going just outside of the eyebrows. Moving on to the steps to make the length of your hood. Step 1, you're going to basically just begin to crochet 1 double crochet throughout the back of your piece until you reach the stitch marker. Basically what you're just doing is creating a longer backside to frame out the front part of the face. So you're going to take it all the way around the back until you reach that stitch marker. Once you find the stitch with your stitch marker in it, make sure you place a double crochet into that stitch and chain 2 times so you can turn around again. This time you're going to flip your work so that way you're going on to the same row, and now once again you'll be placing 1 double crochet into every single stitch until you reach the back side again. Make sure, by the way, that you don't skip the first one. If you want to count and keep track of how many stitches that you're doing, that might help you too. But basically you're just going to double crochet all the way down the row until you're back at your start. And then from there you're just going to be repeating those 2 steps until you're all the way down to the length that you want it to be. Again, take a look at the reference if you need better explanations, and always leave me a comment or DM me on Instagram and I'll help you more. For reference, your hood needs to be at least this long to finish it, so that way we can connect it. Once you do reach the row where you want your connection to be, what we're going to do is choose the corner on the opposite side of where your hook is and insert your hook inside of it. So basically you're going to find this piece here, which is the other corner of the same row, and insert your hook. And from there you can create your slip stitch that basically just pulls the 2 sides together, making the face framing part. You will then chain 2 and continue to make double crochet rows all the way around until your piece is as long as you want it. When it's time to finish off your piece, you're just going to chain 1 time and then cut your yarn. Our next part here is going to be to tackle the arms of the piece. And to do so, the first step that you want to do is take your arm measurements. I'm doing it up against the sleeve I already made, but you obviously don't need to have one done already. So you want to take special notice of what parts of your arm are longer than the rest of them, or wider than the rest of them, so that way you can actually do your increases later on. So basically you want to take your tape measure to about where the sleeve of your normal shirt would start, down to either your wrist or your hand. To make the loop for your wrist, you're going to start again by making another slip knot. And again, I'm taking it nice and slow just in case you started here and skipped the part of making the hood. So you're going to make that figure 8 as I showed you here, and then pull the bottom piece of yarn up and through itself, and that's how you make your actual knot. From there, you're going to want to grab your hook and insert that into the hole, making sure you pull very, very gently on it so that way it's not totally stuck to your hook, but it's still able to move up and down a bit. From there, you loop it around your hands however you feel the most comfortable holding it. I go above my index finger and again grab it with my middle finger and thumb. From there, we're going to make enough chains to fit the length, or the circumference, of your wrist. So I make 15, you don't need that many, or maybe you'll need more, so don't just go on, oh, I'm making 15 because that's what it says in the directions. Use the amount that fits your wrist. And again, here's just some very slow examples of how to make a chain, and you'll just go until you find the length you need. Once you have the proper length, you are going to lay your piece out like so, and find the first chain that you made. From there, we're going to make a slip stitch, same way as we did in the first part, where we insert our hook into the first chain, and from there, you'll have 2 loops on your hook. You're then going to pull the yarn over, like so, and pull it through the 2 loops on your hook. So have a piece that looks like this after, and then you'll chain 2 so we can begin making the rows. For row 1, we are simply going to be making 1 double crochet into every chain that you made here. To do so, once again, you'll start by yarning over, and then inserting your hook into the hole you want to go into. You will then yarn over again from here after you have 3 loops on your hook, and pull it through, and from there you'll still have 3 loops remaining on your hook. You will yarn over and pull that through, then yarn over and pull it through one more time. Like I said, you are going to need 1 double crochet in every chain, so you're going to be continuing to repeat these steps. So going in again nice and slow, insert where you want with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again and pull it through, and then yarn over again, pull through 2 times, and do that once more. And from there, like I said, you're simply going to go all the way around your piece until you've made it to the other side. Once you are there, you're going to find the first double crochet that you made, so you can slip stitch into the top of it. So for me, that's going to be this piece right here. You're going to find the one that looks similar on yours, and then insert your hook like so. You will now have 3 loops on your hook like this, and you're just going to want to yarn over and pull it through 2, pull it through the 1, and from there, once it's through, you will chain 2 times. For the entirety of the length of your arm, up until you get to the point where your arm starts to get a bit wider, you're going to repeat the same things we just did in row 1. So if you look at the diagram here, which is just my arm, I go just about to where my elbow ends, so that's 15 total rows for me. Again, yours is going to be very different than mine, or maybe it will be the same, but either way, use the numbers you need. Now we're going to move on to the increasing rows, and I switched to a pink color here so it's easier for you guys to see. The point of what we're doing here is we're going to be adding increases at an equal distance to each other. So I'm going to be starting with an increase in the first stitch, which is just done by doing 2 double crochets into the same stitch. So as you can see, there's 1 in here now. I'm going to add 1 more to the same spot, and that's going to create the increase. I'm then going to be doing another one on the stitch opposite of it. So I'm going to double crochet all the way around. Since I have 15 stitches, I'm going to make 7 before I do another increase. You'll adjust that number for whatever you need. Once I am over to where I need to be, I'll line it up to make sure it looks even with each other like this, and then I will place my next increase into the next stitch. So once again, the stitch itself is still a double crochet, but you're just going to be placing 2 of them into the same spot. And this is going to make it so for the row afterwards, there's 2 more double crochets than there were in this row. And that's how you end up making the piece wider in each row. The endings of the rows do not change. You are going to find that spot where you made your first double crochet, slip stitch into there, and chain 2 to finish. For your next row for the increasing part, you're just going to be doing 1 double crochet into every single stitch. And the reason that this works, like I said, is there's now going to be 2 extra double crochets. So in my example, I made 15 in the first row, so my second will have 17. I will slip stitch and then chain 2, and then that's going to finish off the second row. So you are going to be doing what works best for you here, repeating rows 1 and 2. I have 6 total rows of this, so it's my increase row, then my normal row around, increase again, doing that 6 times. For your finishing rows, you are just going to be doing the 1 double crochet in each stitch until it's as long as you need. Basically, to get to this point, you need your arm to be at the widest point, and then you're just going to go all the way the rest of the way up. And when we are done, see how my piece looks a little bit short? That's just because I have not stretched mine yet. So if you've just been making it with your measurements and not trying it on, you'll need to stretch it here so it fits properly. The pieces will look like chainmail here. And from this point, you'll insert your arm and make sure everything fits perfectly. Adjust things as you need, and so long as it's perfect, you will do your chain 1 and cut your yarn to make a knot. The final part of this video is the connecting pieces to make it so your sweater stays up. This is the hardest part here, so you want to go very carefully. Start by putting stitch markers on the pieces where you want your 2 arms to connect to each other. I'm doing it at the lowest point of the arms. And what we're going to do here is line them up together, and then I'm using green here to make it a little bit more easy for you to see, and make another slip knot. This is how we're going to connect the pieces together. Take your hook, and before inserting it into the slip knot, you want to actually get to the piece that you already put your stitch marker in. So I'm going to take my hook first, inserting it through there, and then put the slip knot onto the hook. We're doing it this way so we can pull it through and it's already connected to the sleeve. So from here, I'm going to pull it through, and then for my back personally, I end up making 19 chains. You are just going to chain the length of your back measurement minus 5 chains. This is to make up for the fact that it's going to be a little bit stretchy, and we want it to be nice and tight so it doesn't move. So chain as much as you need. I'm going to estimate, depending on if you're making this for a child or for yourself, that you're not going to go over 40, but that might be the maximum. And the minimum is probably somewhere around 14, 13. And you're just going to go until it is the exact size that you need it to be for you. And of course, like I said, if you're stuck at all on these points, please send me any sort of message and I'll get back to you to help you out. For step 4 here, we're going to connect it to the next sleeve. So start by inserting your hook like so, and then yarning over to create a slip stitch like this. This now has both of our sleeves connected. What you're going to be doing next is making more slip stitches into the sleeve that you're now connected to so we can make the next row. So first slip stitch into the one above your stitch marker, and that's going to help create length here. And then because we're doing double crochets, we're going to be doing 2 slip stitches. So again, slip stitch into the stitch above that one. From there, you want to turn your work around, and then to go all the way around the length of your piece here, you're just going to double crochet 1 time into each of those stitches. Again, I made 19, so I'll have 19 double crochets. You're going to have a number equal to the amount of chains that you made. It is also important as you go through this part to not twist it so your sleeves don't end up facing different directions. Once you've made it all the way across, your piece will look like this. And as you can see, I've gotten to the other side once again. And what we're going to do is not just slip stitch into the one after the stitch marker, we're going to go 2 below it because we know that we need 2 for the double crochet. So I'm marking that stitch again just so I don't forget it as I'm turning my work around. And then I'm going to insert it into that spot here and make my slip stitch 2 above the stitch markers afterwards. Basically same thing we did last time so you can create another row. It also might help you to take your stitch markers out as you go so you don't get confused. Once your piece is like that, you're just going to do your slip stitches one after the other. And then once you have finished that for step 9, you're going to turn your work to the right and slip stitch all the way down the row once again. Again, remember, you'll be doing whatever number you made, so I'll have 19, you'll have whatever that was for you. Once you are all the way across, you'll skip 2 for your last slip stitch here, and then what we want to do is cut the yarn. So we're going to chain 1 time like this. And after we've done our chain, we're just going to take our scissor and do a small cut here. You will then pull it through to make a knot, pull it nice and tight, and from there you finish that part of the connector. You're going to want to try your piece on to make sure that everything fits from this point. And then if you need to adjust anything, do that row over again before you start doing the front piece. When you decide where you want your front pieces to go, you can just put a stitch marker in like so. To do the front connector piece, I'm once again just going to start with a slip knot and connect everything the exact same way we did the last one. So insert my hook in first, then I'll put the slip knot over it and pull it nice and taut, and from there we're going to go into the next row. I am only chaining 3 times because I don't want like a huge piece in the front, I want it to be nice and tight. You might not use any if you're on the smaller side, and you might need more if you're a bit bigger. Once you have done all this, you'll once again slip stitch into the other arm, and then do the same thing where you're going up 2 times with slip stitches before we turn our work. Once our work is chained, we'll do our double crochets, 1 into each of those chains all the way across, exactly the same as we did on the back side. You will do your final slip stitch after this. Remember to go 2 above your stitch marker, and once you're done with that, you're just simply going to chain 1 time and cut your yarn once again. To finish off, you want to try your piece back on and make sure that everything fits before you weave in your ends and take out your stitch markers. Obviously mine is a million different colors for how I was showing you what to do, but yours will just end up being like the one I'm about to show you. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Once again, if this helped you, please leave me a like and subscribe. And if you want to see anything extra, head over to my Instagram, my TikTok, or my Depop to buy anything. I make new videos every Sunday at 1 p.m., so I'll see you back here next week. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye!